And I would fight with every fiber in my body, every ounce of my energy, with every parliamentary tool at my disposal, and there are parliamentary tools at my disposal. Don't you ever think there aren't? But I do believe that the Constitution will weather this storm. The Senate will weather the storm as well. But I only hope that when the tempest passes, senators will reflect upon the ramifications of what they've done and understand the damage that has been inflicted on the Constitution of the United States. Now, those people out there believe in the Constitution. And I've been very disappointed to have stood on my feet, an 85-year-old man, standing on his feet and pleading with his colleagues to stand up for the Constitution. I've been disappointed that some of them seem not to have listened at all. That's a real disappointment. It isn't Robert C. Byrd that counts. It's the Constitution of the United States. And but for that Constitution, they wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be here, and you, Mr. President, would not be here. It's that Constitution. And we all take an oath, a solemn oath, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the greatest oration that was ever delivered in the history of mankind, the oration on the crown, delivered in the year 331 BC by Demosthenes. And in his denunciation of Aeschines, he asked this question: who deceives the state? Who deceives the state? He answered his own question by saying, he, the man who does not speak what he thinks. Who deceives the state? The man who does not speak what he thinks. And so, Mr. President, I believe we ought to speak what we think. Political party means nothing, absolutely nothing, to me in comparison with this Constitution of the United States, which I hold in my hand. It means nothing. Political party means nothing to me in comparison with this great old book which our mothers read, the Holy Bible. And so, it seems to me that in this debate, thinking about the 50,000 emails that have come to this country boy from the hills of West Virginia, 50,000 emails, and almost 20,000 telephone calls. My wonderful staff have been hard-pressed to take all these calls and log them in. But the American people seem to have a better understanding of the Constitution than do those who are elected to represent them. Now, that's a shame, isn't it? I feel sorry for some of my colleagues. I love them. Bless their hearts, I love them. I forgive them. But you might as well talk to the ocean. I might as well speak to the waves as they come in, the tides that rise and fall. Might as well speak to the waves, as did King Canute, as to speak to some of my colleagues. They won't hear me. And it isn't because it's Robert Byrd. They just don't want to hear about that Constitution. That's what these people are writing me about. Perhaps it is that their understanding, the understanding of the people, the great mass of people out there, it may be that their understanding of the Constitution has not yet filtered through the prism of election year politics. That's it. Election year politics. I believe that the American people have a better understanding of what the Senate is about to do. a greater respect for the inherent powers of the Constitution, and a greater comprehension of the far-reaching consequences of this resolution, a greater comprehension than do most of their leaders. And Mr. President, I thank my colleagues who have allowed me to express at considerable length my reasons for opposing the resolution. And I thank those senators, like the senator who presides over the Senate at this very moment. I thank those senators who have stood with me in my fight for the Constitution and for this institution and for that provision in the Constitution that says Congress shall have power to declare war. I thank those senators who have engaged in thoughtful debate with me. I thank Senator McCain. I thank Senator Warner. I thank these men. They stood up for what they believed. And they stood up for this administration. The only difference is I would stand for no administration. None. When it comes to this Constitution. If the administration took a position opposite to that Constitution, forget it. I don't care if it's a Democrat. I do not believe that the Senate has given enough time or enough consideration to the question of handing the President unchecked authority to usurp the Constitution and declare war on Iraq. I have no brief for Iraq. But I accept the futility of continuing to fight on this front. So I could keep us here all night tonight. I know that there'd be other senators who would stand with me. Other senators believe as I do. I could keep us here tomorrow. I could keep us here through Saturday. I would hope we wouldn't be in on Sunday. That's the Sabbath day. But come back on next Tuesday. Have at it again. Until the flesh from my bones be hacked. But I say to the people of America, to those who have encouraged other senators and me to uphold the principles of the Constitution, keep up the fight. Keep fighting for what is right. Let your voices be heard. Why do you think George Washington crossed the Delaware? May I say to my good friend from Delaware, Joe Biden, my esteemed friend, my esteemed colleague. He crossed the Delaware, may I say to my friend Fred Thompson, Senator Fred Thompson. We're going to soon miss him. I like him. I like him. He always speaks with great passion and fervor, and he's always respectful of other senators. He was here during the days of Sam Ervin, Howard Baker, the days of Watergate. That's Senator from Tennessee. I didn't say that I will always listen to you, the people out there, and I hope the President will begin to listen to you. And Mr. President, if the President really wants to do something for Homeland Security, for this country, let him help to fight the war at home.